There's the sounds in the night, almost imperceptible type of light, a whisper in the whistle, a glimmer, a sort of a type. Then before your mind can decide whether it's fight or flight, there's a star in the brainstem, cutting off from the right. It's like everything went dark in a moment of a spark, and then it's a katana piercing your chest to your heart, and the bones and the cartilage is tearing apart from skin. And if it was drama you saw.
Hey guys, welcome to the lab. This is Sundaze with the Clink Room. We have a very special guest in the house today, TJ, aka 40swords. How you doing today, TJ?
I'm all right. How's everybody doing out there, Leon? So glad that you could have me on. I'm honored, so it's good to be here.
I'm glad that you're blessing us with your presence. You're a longtime favorite of mine in terms of Clink Room artists. Let's give a chance before we commence with the festivities for people to kind of get to know you. So how did you get started as an artist and specifically as a designer with the Clink Room?
Geez, I've been a sports logos fan, probably along with all the other Clinkers for years and years since a little kid. Baltimore Orioles, my favorite team growing up because of the hat, of course. So I take a little bit of that with me. Went to school. I was an illustration major, so I like telling stories with art. So that's kind of my background. With the Clink Room, geez, how did I stumble across it? It just maybe Googling logos or something, and then it came up like, wow, these dudes actually are responsible for, all these minor league logos. I didn't, I wasn't deep into minor league stuff, but I mean, I appreciate that style. So, saw it, Clink Room. I'm like, all right, they're showing us behind the scenes how they did it. They went to this county stadium and met with the people, learned their way, learned the history behind the town, not just the team.
Yeah.
And then how they're implementing it in. I was like, wow, this is great. And then when they started eventually doing, all right, we're going to do a design contest, I was like, man, this is sweet. So threw my hand in it, wasn't Illustrator ready. So I'm doing it on Photoshop and I'm like behind the times. I think Casey might've said, you're doing these concepts on Photoshop. This is, what did he say? It was something like you're building a pool, but digging with a spoon instead of like a shovel or whatever it is. So I'm like, wow, I guess I better get my stuff together. So that's really how it all started. And it just got, I was so happy to see Clink 2.0 come back, give me another outlet to get back into art. And that's it.
That's awesome. Can you share some inspiration behind your artist name, 40swords?
I've always been a big fan of samurai culture, things like that. I watch all my classic Jidagekis, love all that type of stuff. I'm the fourth. I'm Theodore Monteiro the fourth. So there's the 4 goes in there. And that's just really how it boiled down to. I thought it sounded cool. That's it. So basically that was it. Everybody on the internet had nicknames or handles and all of this. So I'm like, well, you better figure it out. So that's really how it started, to be honest with you. So nothing really beyond that.
Cool. All right. Your designs often feature like really intricate details and unique concepts. What's your kind of creative process when you're developing a new hat design?
It always starts with a name, honestly.
Okay.
And I think maybe we were talking with some other artists and stuff. They're like, well, how important it is a name for the design. Some people, it doesn't really matter. But for me, if I have a good name, I'm like, oh, that's a good, like, I'll come up with the name first. And then kind of the design comes along with it. Once in a while, I'll be like, oh, that's just a good design idea. But I have like a note in my notes app. I'll have a bunch of different titles of stuff, some of which I've designed, some of which I'm like, maybe that's not a great idea. But usually it starts there. And then I got my sketchbook, kind of draw some stuff out, see what. There's not been too many times where I've drawn something and then it's done a drastic change from the drawing. Like with a couple of things that I've worked on, this has been a progression, but most of the time I've got it in my mind the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like do some tweaking. Then you get into the computer and then you can kind of move stuff around. I mean, I see all these dudes on Procreate. I am doing Procreate right now because I got my hands full with Illustrator. I mean, I've just become decently proficient with Illustrator to kind of know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's my process for it. Start with the name, chip away at it in the sketchbook. If it was me, I would just draw with my pencil, eraser, boom. And if I could snap my fingers and have it be in the computer, that's what I love to do because that's my least favorite part of the job.
Yeah.
I love drawing.
We talked a bit about, stuff you don't like to do. And for me personally, I hate the name part of it.
Yeah. Well,
that's the last part for me.
All right. See, I like coming up with the clever, like I had some cool names that Casey was like, no, we can't do that. Like, really? So he had it changed a couple and I get it for some of the things, but for me, it's got to start there because, and if you'll notice, most of my stuff, the name goes with, it's when I name one of the designs, I pretend like it's a real team. So I try to make it sound like a team, like the Ronins, not the, I very rarely name it after like a feeling. Like, look, the reality is Miami Heat, Orlando Magic. Back in the 80s, that was a new thing. Name your team after like the late 80s. Name your team after like feelings or stuff like. I don't do that. I don't typically love that. I can forgive Miami and Orlando because they were the first ones. Now you're naming teams like after like crazy stuff. So I try to keep my designs named after what I would think a real team would be, or that's how I do it. But yeah, starts there. Starts with the team name.
That's awesome. Do you have any like favorite materials or techniques that you enjoy using when you're bringing particular hat designs to life?
I don't know. I wouldn't say any particular techniques, materials in terms of not the hat itself. You're talking about just like the actual coming up with the concept.
Yeah. Like what you use to.
I'm just using. I'll just take I have a little sketchbook, so I'm taking that one out. I'll take that like with me maybe to work or something like that, and then the bigger sketchbook, and I'm just using mechanical pencil sketchbook.
Okay.
So I do have an iPad, I do have an Apple Pencil. I can't get that feel that I get with the sketchbook. I mean, the old school sketchbook and pad and paper. I've tried. I might try it again. Like I said, Procreate, these dudes. I think Sierra does the Procreate, and I asked him. He's like, "Oh, I'll send you." He's a good dude. He's like, I'll send you some pencil,
the pattern things or whatever.
Something like that.
Textures,
and sweet. Yeah, but I can't get it to do what I want it to do. Like I don't know. I guess I'm getting old. The gray hairs prove it. So that's kind of what I do. Pencil and paper.
Don't feel too bad. So my business partner Tony Ross, he's pencil first. Always pencil first.
All right, so Kindred Spirit. I did. I loved watching that, and like I didn't know who he was, and like I said, I love watching this show because I was like getting that right from the artist mouth. So that's cool.
Yeah. So everything for him, he needs to see it on paper and scaled out, and then he'll refine it more once it goes into Illustrator and whatever. But first couple passes has to be. He's got like a illustrative background. I think he originally wanted to become like an animator at Disney before he figured out
God bless
it really was.
That seems like a thankless job. Like it's a great like God bless all the people that are doing it, because that seems so tedious.
Yeah.
Like
I think once he figured out what the job was, he's like, yeah, I'm not doing any of this. But growing up, like he always had pencil and paper in hand, and that's kind of how he sticks to it. In terms of Clink, so like the community plays a really significant role, I think, in the design selection process. Do you do anything specific to engage the audience to either gather feedback or ideas?
Not usually ideas. Like once in a while, like once in a great while, I'll say, give me help me out with this color
Hmm.
or something like that. There've been a lot of people have reached out recently with all the collaborations that are going on in the
Hmm.
Clink universe. Reached out, was like, look, man, I love your stuff. I appreciate, all what you do. Would you be interested? And some dudes that are, familiar dudes. And like I told people, no offense. I'm not up for collabos right now. And one of the reasons is when I'm doing this, I'm not, luckily for me, this isn't my only avenue of putting food on the table or whatever it is. So for me, I do this for me. I
Yeah.
do this for the enjoyment and expressing myself. So I'm not looking for ideas. If I want to do something, I'll do it, and and either I'm happy with it or I'm not happy with it, and then I won't put it out or whatever it is. I don't want to be beholden to someone else's idea of what they think something should be, which is completely nonsensical for an illustrator because you're supposed to take people's ideas,
Yeah.
and do that. But that's why I'm not illustrating stuff, because I made the decision like that's not what I really want to do. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is. So like I have ideas, I don't always put them to paper. And
Yeah.
that's probably my biggest issue is the stuff that I have in my mind to do, I don't always have the motivation to do it. So when I do have the motivation to do it, I put it down and I go at my own speed. So that's pretty much what it is. I don't reach out for ideas because I feel like I already have ideas that they're not getting down yet. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
It's always kind of a tough one too, right? So when you include more, I guess, elements in the chefing the process, I guess, if we were to like use an analogy, right? So the more cooks that go in to the dish, you're adding different elements, and it's tough, right? Like even for me, like, I'm not an artist in any sense where I draw well or anything like that, but a lot of what I do is like a project management thing, like making sure it runs well, we're using the right stuff, and
Mm,
kind of oversee that process. But yeah, there's always a I guess like a fineness to it where you have to, well, once you introduce more elements in the baking or in the chefing of it, then it totally changes what you have. So I have a partnership right now with Tony, but when we work with other artists too, so it's like we got to make sure that the artist feels comfortable. We got to make sure that we're using the colors that they want, and there's just so much more to it. It's not as simple as, oh, like, let's just get together and make a hat. So hopefully people understand that.
yeah, definitely.
Do you have any advice you would offer to any aspiring artists looking to break into the world of custom headwear?
The world of Clink. You gotta just at this point, like I said, from the Clink 1.0 days, it's a lot more. It's easier now
Mhm.
because you don't you don't even need to really have illustrated. Like there's been a couple people that got their hats made, didn't even have it. They didn't even have the thing mocked up fully. If you just show up with a really good idea, Casey's proven if the idea is sound and he feels like this is going to be good, then they'll run with that and they'll do their end and do their part to make it happen. So that's proven that. What you really have to do is you can't really be afraid to just kind of throw something out there, and it's the internet. People will see it and then they'll forget it if it's bad. If it's good, people will see it and they'll champion it. So my advice is if you're not an artist or you're not someone who draws much, maybe linking up with someone and sharing the credit, sharing the responsibility is the way to go. But I mean, draw every day.
Yeah.
I don't even follow that advice, and I should.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to practice what I preach, but
There you go.
that's my best advice. Draw every single day and just something, and then you'll get better eventually, and just be creative with your ideas. Take a look at what Clink has already done.
Yeah.
Look back in there. I mean, look, I've been saying this all along. A skull will get you 25%. If you put a skull on a hat, you're getting 25% of the vote. Start with a skull. Start out with a skull. See what happens. You know, throw it against the wall. See what sticks. But submit. It can't hurt. Don't be afraid. There's so many people that are going to give you good feedback, give you good suggestions. Like I try to do that once in a while too, you know, and try to get people going in the direction where I feel like their hat's going to get through. So
that's awesome. Can you share any memorable moments or stories from your experience as a Clink Room artist that have kind of left you with a lasting impact?
I think just in general, I don't know if I could pick out one specific story, but seeing like when you first, during the Clink 1.0 days, not to keep sounding like OG, but during the Clink 1.0 days, like seeing people from all like the shams, you know, that I did that in Japan. I was in Japan when I did that. And I was drawing it out, and you don't think that it's going to be anything that's going to get a big foothold or whatever it is. And to see people after they had sold the hat, and I was like, wow, this hat sold out. Seeing people all over the world, like worldwide, like Clink is worldwide. What? Like seeing that was such a momentous thing, and kind of getting a grasp, like, wow, all right, like there may have only been, what is a run of hats back then? 100 hats? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that was, but seeing like, all right, you gave birth to 100 of these hats, and they're all over the world. Someone's got it somewhere. So that was a great feeling. And I think for the people that are in Clink now, the same feeling is probably going through them. They're probably saying like, wow, this is incredible. Like, I didn't think that this was going to turn into that.
Yeah.
And that feeling is what, and Casey knows, that's why he's doing what he does, because this has turned out to be a great business. But the feeling that he gets from artists like myself, like Jason, like Phil, all these people like that you had on the show, that you will be having on the show, that feeling is fantastic. It's great knowing that you're reaching other people with what you do. So
yeah, it's always cool to kind of see which countries these kind of end up in. Like, so off the top of my head, like Germany, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines,
I mean, and
Australia.
Hey, and Clink's getting them to these places now.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, like that's a big deal too. Like this package is going from America all the way across the world, and people are tagging you or tagging Clink in it, and you're seeing it. You're like, wow, that's crazy. So that's been the most memorable thing, I would probably say. I've been saying they need to do a Clink. They need to do, I don't know who's going to have to put it together, but they need to do like a Clink, not a convention, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like Clinkers, longtime people, new people get together and like have a meeting or you know, something like that. Like some kind of a, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a meetup or
I think
like
that would be really
people
cool.
use the con word a lot, a sneaker con, Clink con, something like that.
I don't go anywhere, but I would go to that. So
yeah. Well, you said off camera, you said you never been to San Diego, so that could be a good
Nope, I haven't. That was my uncle's favorite, city. He's like, oh, it's my favorite place to go. So I said, one day, Uncle, I'll get out there. So maybe, hey, Casey, you heard this.
Yeah, we'll pitch it to Casey. Let's get Clink Con going.
See, you said you're not good at coming up with names right then and there. Boom, Clink Con with a K.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
You did it.
There we go. Other than designing hats, do you have any other work, like creative projects or other art forms that you do to kind of complement your work with the Clink Room?
I would not officially, no.
Okay.
I'll do like certain things here and there. Like my cousin's like, oh, I got this team or whatever. I've done stuff like that. A couple things here and there, but nothing really. So like that's why Clink coming back was such a big deal for me. I was like, man, this is great. This is a reason to get back to doing this type of thing. And it's just worked out. It's worked out great. So I will say that as a result of doing and getting back to Clink, I've kind of wanted to get back to doing some fine art, believe it or not.
Cool. Yeah.
Like I didn't think that would be the case, but no, it's given me reason to think about that.
That's awesome.
And try my hand back at painting a little bit. So yeah, I mean, who knows what the future holds, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for doing that portion with me and giving the clinkers out there a chance to kind of get to know you better, the man behind the name. So that's awesome. So let's get right into it. So the Sundays with the Clink festivities, we are on last call. So these are 6 designs that end in pre-order tonight at midnight. So the 3 we have right now on screen. So Koi by Ryan, No Slices Given by COD and Sierra Gons, and Demo Team by Jason V and Casey. Anything here that sticks out to you?
I mean, that's a good that's a good triumvirate of hats right there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see what happens with the Koi, because it's so unusual. Like it looks like it's gonna work so good. I'm just can't wait to see what it looks like in thread. It's so unique. So I think that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Then again, Jason V, like I said, Jason V, dude's been doing it since the beginning. The dude knows what he's doing. And I saw him on the show. Definitely, probably my favorite Clink artist. That and CBS Inc. I don't know where that dude went. Come back, CBS Inc., do some shit. Yeah, Demo Team is nice too. You know, considering how popular Octopus are.
Yep.
It works great. You don't see old school mines or
yeah.
Maybe they still make mines like that. I don't know. But it's a unique choice to mix the two things together. So that was really cool too. Yeah. Is that a what color undervisor is that? Is that black? Or is that just blue?
I think it's navy.
All right. Because I know how people hate them black undervisors now. So
yeah.
That's a problem for many. So
the black UVs definitely get discriminated against. But according to the description of the design, so this one is for a tribute for the U.S. Navy, people who've served.
Okay, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, they'd probably love to have something like that. You know, that's a really cool idea for to pay homage to that. Mm-hmm. No Slices Given. That's I'm gonna say also I'm not a food hat guy, so that would be a tough wear for me. But it does have a lot of detail, like with the melting part of it. That's the only thing that would give me pause. Like, I'm like, all right, there's a lot going on, and then you've got 2 different thread colors, then the melting. So that's a lot. For me personally. So out of the 3, I would probably say that's tough because you have the 2 water designs going head to head. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Koi just because I'm so curious to see how good that's gonna translate. I mean, the shadow is handled so great.
Yeah.
And I want to see what's gonna be raised. Or is anything going to be raised? Like the only thing that should raise is the water, right?
I feel like the ripples are going to be raised. I would assume, and then the shadow will be kind of flat. Crazy. Yeah,
that's going to be wild.
And if you're looking at Koi traditionally, some of the art you see it's always looking down because that's how you would see them in the pond or whatever. Right. So it's kind of cool that it took that perspective.
Now we've had a few different Kois here.
Yeah.
In the Clink annals of history. So I think you had, was it Phil that did the Samurai Koi? I can't remember. But there was that. You had the one early on that was like a pinwheel hat. Like it was black and
like
white.
A yin yang. Yeah.
So at least with another Koi, you're doing something completely different than those. So that's what I would say with this group.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a cherry koi. So it's
Yeah.
like a kind of like a blossom one, the yin yang one.
Yeah.
So it's a half black, half white one.
Yeah, that's the one I remember.
Yeah, and then the samurai koi, which is like a really fun one that
Yeah, it was.
Bill and Luis did. But yeah, so for me, I think design wise, Demo Team is the best looking one.
It is badass.
But I'm with you. The koi is really unique, and I can't wait to see how these all kind of later out.
Definitely.
So moving forward, we got Green Thumbs by Yakobo, Prospectors by longtime Clinker Ephra, and then Desert Death by Raphael. Anything here that sticks out to you?
I mean, pink is just, it's something. Every time I turn around, there's something pink. So I don't do pinks that much. So I'm gonna not go with the Green Thumbs. Although you can't beat the imagery is hilarious. Like Jacobo, that dude knows what he's doing. So the imagery is great. I actually really like the cactus. I like Raphael's cactus. Personally, I'm not a Southwest guy, so I'm probably not gonna wear that. It's just not my thing. But I think that I do enjoy it. I think it's well rendered. Ephra, the dude, Ephra stuff. If you put that somewhere in a big sea of hats, you could pick out who did that hat. Like that's just his, and that's what's great about seeing these artists that we've grown to know and learn their style and what they do well. In terms of just wearability, I'm going to go with the Prospectors.
Yeah.
So, and I've never done any prospecting myself. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm a fan of gold, but I've never done anything. But it speaks to me. I'm curious how that bandana is gonna.
I was looking at that.
Translate.
The details look crazy small.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to see. But we'll see. And I'm assuming they're going to be using gold thread with the nugget, and then I'm assuming maybe the outline of the face.
Well, then the outline looks almost like a Merit gold or a Manila, like an athletic gold, but the nugget's gotta be metallic for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Jacobo's page, man, and on the Clink Room itself, he's got 5 pages.
That dude,
like he is a monster.
That dude can put them out. Like, I don't know what school he went to for Illustrator or whatever, or if he just sat in a room with him and the computer for a week and just worked on it. Because like for me, that's what's the problem. Like I will nitpick something because I didn't get this right or whatever, but that dude, it puts out some product. So I mean, God bless him. I mean, he's a machine. He's a machine. So
it looks like he's got the series right of all these like 420.
Yeah, no. He's done it. I mean, and people have seen that, and now you see we're getting a lot more of those type of hats because people say
the series. Yeah,
this is selling. Like he had the Money series.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, the Money series was good, and I had an idea about a Money thing, and I was gonna do it, and I'm like, I don't know, because that man cornered the market on that. Not no pun intended, but I still might try to do it with his. Maybe I need to get his blessing. But yeah, he had a lot of those, and people see how popular those are, and they're like, all right, well, let me put my idea out for that. So, I like I said with the pinks, I'm not a pink guy. I don't wear a lot of pink, and it pained me to see when I saw the Good Kitties. I'm like, Casey Pink. And he's like, God, pink sells. And I'm just like, man. So, like, that's it. It's tough for me. Like, I got a pink. Look it. We got Quick Draws, pink underbill. I'm like, oh, pink underbill. I conceded it. I conceded it. But it's just, it's the way of the world, I guess now. So I mean, we all have colors we don't like. So
Yeah. So
some people won't wear. Yep, we're brothers. But look at yeah. See, I put up with that. I went and made I got the shirt going, so
awesome.
I may not be wearing the hat right now, but yeah. Some people won't wear a red hat. Some people won't wear a green hat. So
yeah.
What do you do?
I thought I had another one. Maybe I guess not. But either way, good stuff. Yeah, if I'm gonna pick one, I like Prospectors just for the wearability. Yeah. I'm very curious, like you, to see how the paisley kind of comes out. Yeah, the gold nugget, I think, is gonna be badass with the pickaxe and then the gold nugget.
Yeah.
And the green thumbs makes me think of the rules of the road. So what's the rules? Right? Cash, gas.
Yeah,
grass or ass.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the famous list. Yeah,
yeah. So that's what it makes me think of. And I think Desert Death is colored really well. So it's got like that tan.
So is that a camel? Would you say that's a camel? What would you?
Yeah, almost camel or like a khaki almost. I don't even know what color that would be, but yeah, like it's got a good feel to it. I don't love the yellow outline to it because I almost feel like it just gets washed out. I didn't really
notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a very faint.
So that's the same yellow that's in the flower, I'm assuming. Like to look closely at it.
But. Yeah. But and it's good that there is an outline because in future colors you could get something that makes it pop.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of the small outlines. Like if you're gonna outline it, like really, I like the thick ones. Kind of like that style that kind of fair weather kind of made famous with like a flat design and then a super bold outline. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, so you're a fan of the super bold outline?
Yeah, I mean, like it doesn't have to always be like that, but like, almost kind of like this, where it's like,
yeah, that's bold. So I mean, so is that a raised outline? Like,
yeah, so that this would be raised. Hold on, I'll make myself big here.
Because like, there's very few times where I've seen any clink. I'm trying to think of a clink that I've seen with a super raised outline and then the rest of it is flat.
Yeah, I just think like if you're requesting New Era and not to go back and forth with them all the time or even working with a digitizer, it's just easier to just make a big ass bold outline and then make everything flat. So you at least know what comes.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you deal with New Era, you don't know what's gonna be raised or what's gonna be flat. So
well, that seems like that's a problem. Like if you don't know
yeah. Huh. Well, like sometimes you just submit the art and then it comes back how it comes back. Yeah. Then you get in a fight with them. It's like, hey, can you raise this, and not raise that? But Casey's got it worked out. I mean, he's such a long time client of theirs.
Yeah.
So like he gets a little bit more, I guess, say. But he's also been coloring and resubmitting and stuff. Yeah, he might know the proper language.
Yeah.
To use. So that there isn't so much back and forth. But yeah, I've definitely dealt with a lot of back and forth with them to be like, hey, why can't you raise this? And then they do this like game of chicken where they just wait you out. You're like, all right, fuck it, just order it.
See, that would be trouble for me. I'm not a control freak, but like I gotta have it just so. I mean, and that's been a difficult thing for me.
Yeah.
In terms of some of these hats is I put it on. I make it as best as I can. And when you get it back in hand, you're like, damn it, if this was only this way, or if this color thread was the appropriate color that they showed me on the swatch. And now that I'm seeing it in actual living color, it's not at all what was on the swatch. So I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
But this is it. It's not a perfect world, and nothing comes out exactly the way you want most of the time. So
well, that's what happens sometimes with the different factories. So like one factory will have like Scarlet be a certain PMS.
That's crazy.
And then if they run out, then they'll use something that's similar without saying anything. But that's a New Era problem. I don't really think that's unique to anything that like Clink does or anything like that. But yeah. All right. So I think we're unanimous in Prospectors for both of us, but I think all six. This is a really strong week. I think
it was a good group.
Yeah,
you can't complain about this group.
Yeah. The one thing you know though is that there will be people kicking themselves because they're going to think like, hey, that didn't look like the mock-up. And
Yep.
the final product always looks better than the mock-up. Like, very rarely does it ever come back the other way. But all right, let's take a look at what we have in crits. So you haven't seen any of these. I barely took a look. So let's give our honest opinion on what we see here. So Green Prayers by the green one. She's been around and kind of working to get her stuff in. I believe her name is Heather from Las Vegas. All
right,
if I'm getting it wrong, I do apologize, Heather. But Green Prayers. So Praying Mantis, what do you think?
This is clever. It's actually pretty well done, pretty well drawn. I'm not familiar with her work, so I can't speak on historically what she's done before. But I would just say I'm gonna go with you. What you said, thicker outlines.
Yeah,
that's what I would say here. Now, again, this is as Casey is in the teachings of Casey. It's tall. And that works against it.
Yeah.
In terms of embroidery. So if I was her, I would probably go in and try to somehow compress this a little bit, thicken up the outline, thicken up the outlines, and see if there was a way to kind of like either get that rosary is going to be, I mean, it's really long. So either have it swing out more out towards the side instead of down, and maybe shrink the, I guess, clothing a little bit so it wasn't as tall, and just make it a little less tall and a little bit wider. I think that it could be very cool. It's cool as it is now, but I think it would be better served for embroidery with those suggestions.
Yeah. So she's playing off, I guess, like the Praying Mantis.
Yes, I like it. Yeah.
I do love the name. Very strong name. One suggestion, like what you said, it is very up and down. So one way to kind of combat that and to get more space, she could tilt it like 30 degrees, kind of have it in the same shape.
Tilting, yep.
The same shape or the same kind of flow as the famous praying hand logos. That way you can at least get more of the rosary.
Yeah.
Maybe swing it out. I when she posted this, I commented on it. I do love the design, but I feel like there's too much green in either the crown.
With the hat. Yeah. I agree. See again, colors. I don't even look at the color. I'm just like, all right, here's the design, what it is. But yeah, you're right about that. Especially because there's nothing really seemingly separating it from the hat that much. So that thin black outline isn't helping it at all.
Exactly.
So I would agree with that.
Exactly. So I'd play with that a little bit. Maybe get a dark color to kind of make the green kind of punch out.
I mean, she got a lot going on, like in the face color wise. Like there's a couple different shades working there. And I actually think it looks really good. I mean, of course, Clink is gonna try to limit the colors. I don't know how many she's got in here, but I think it's pretty cool. It's a unique way of doing it. Like I said, I probably would make the rosaries bigger. I would make the actual beads large and not. I would make it like maybe a little bit like overly large, whereas we don't need them to look realistic because this is a praying mantis. So I would exaggerate them is what I would do.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, all in all, she nailed the theme. I think it's just a matter of coloring it, making sure. I do like the under visor being that volt kind of color because the eyes have that shine to them. So yeah, keep at it. We're cheering for you to get your first one into production. She's definitely kind of newer to the scene, so she's taking a lot of feedback. She's always watching the show too, so appreciate the support. But
cool.
Those are the kind of the things that stick out to me. And I know that they posted multiple colorways, and they did unfortunately use the green one, but it's still a nice looking hat from far away.
Yeah, I mean, I like the color combo itself. Yeah.
All right, so moving forward, Country Chameleons by Jake. So Jake's back. What do you think of this one?
This is this is good. This is like, it's a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a lot. So I have no problem with large embroidery on these clinks because, and I was talking with Casey about it, and as he said, some hats work better with large embroidery, others maybe not so much. But this thing is like, there's so much happening. I'm not at all upset about how big that is on there.
Yeah.
I think it's got a vibrancy to it. The colors, they're not my cup of tea, but I mean, I like a white panel hat. I've always liked it. It was a long time until I actually put one out myself. I'm glad I did. But I like this. This has got such an islandy feel to it. It all works with that, in my opinion. Anyways, I would say I want there to be a little thicker outline on the actual chameleon itself, like around the tail area, like coming down, just a little bit thicker. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think aesthetic wise, it's drawn real well. It looks cool. It's fun. The colorway, yeah, it's got like this kind of like beachy Tommy Bahama type,
Yeah, definitely.
kind of like floral type thing. Like that's awesome. I don't know if we need the flowers to be such a big part of it. You kind of lose a little bit, but that might be part of the design aspect, like the chameleon kind of blending in. But yeah, I think all in all, it's a really interesting one. We haven't really seen chameleons be tackled too often. I know there was one, the change up, which is like a awesome 2.0, where they kind of fading into the hat, and this one's totally different. So
like I'm not that familiar with chameleon, like what a chameleon looks like, or this particular one with the horns and all that. So I can't speak on any of that. But yeah, I think my only thing would be is the legs are kind of small.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if they're supposed to be that small in terms of the overall dimensions of the creature. But that's the only thing that if I was going to pick something on, I would say. But other than that, I think it would embroider well.
Yeah.
Overall. So
I think the big thing with this type of chameleon, their hands are they got that like split, like almost like
it's like
a very specific type chameleon. But yeah, this looks like a panther chameleon, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I could be wrong.
You do your research, so I'll trust you.
I feel like it's a panther one. I could be wrong, but it's the one where it has the independent eye, so the eye would kind of.
That's crazy. Whenever I see those things, they kind of freak me out. So
yeah.
We don't have those up here, so it's all exotic stuff.
We'll definitely be corrected if I'm wrong,
and that's fine.
Yeah, but I don't. How do you feel about the face? Like maybe doing something to make the face stand out a little bit more, or maybe work.
See, that's the thing. Like, I would, like I said, I don't have a good background on the animals, so I kind of can't give an opinion like on a way to accentuate it a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot going on in the eye area, like so. There seems to be, like maybe there's a way to simplify that eyelid type area so it's not as. Because there's so much going on, you're concerned about when it embroiders, is it all going to read the way you want it? So I would probably, if I was him, probably try to simplify that area. Go back in and look at the animal and see if there's a way you could streamline it.
Yeah, but either way, good job, Jake. Good to have you back. I don't think I've seen him for a little while.
Yeah, I haven't seen that name in a while.
Yeah, good to get him back in the fold. See what else we got going on here. B-Boys by Toe Tide Concepts. I don't think I've seen their name.
All right, see, so I'm gonna come out and say I had a concept with this and I was working on it. So it's not like this, but I give them credit for, because listen, as someone who is a hip hop fan, grew up listening to it, still listen to it, I have an affinity for this. My only thing is that boombox is going to be damn near impossible to embroider that detailed. I would also say you don't need the wings to have that kind of detail in them.
Yeah.
I think you got a good simple thing going, and those two things are too detailed. You need to simplify those way up. And I think you'll be doing better. And I would probably make the wings going up, pointing up,
Yeah.
not down, because it's just going to give a more interesting visual and a more interesting composition, in my opinion. And I would say if you're going to do the boombox, you got to do it. You got to boost that. That thing should be big enough. Radio Raheem should be carrying that. That thing needs to be huge. This is a very tall design.
Yeah.
What I would also say is splay the legs out more. That will shrink it a little bit, and then you can get more detail in there. So those are my suggestions for the B-boys.
Yeah. The chain I know is such a central part to the outfit. That like
Yeah, I kind of forgot. I didn't see that.
Well,
that
I
should
would look to beef up, I think, or
yeah, well, that's got to also be the same color yellow as everything else. So you've got to find a way to really. Well, Sierra did the baseball with the I can't remember what he called that one, but he did that big dookie rope chain, and that's what you need here. Yeah, that's what I would say. And also by moving the wings up and getting the wings don't have to be big. This is a cartoon. Don't worry. Don't feel free to exaggerate the wings. They don't have to be big, but if they're pointing up, it's going to give you a little bit more room for the stinger. So, and it's, the stinger here is just an afterthought. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. I think he's right there. I'm with you too with the legs. Maybe play with the perspective a little bit, and then find a way to get the details on the boombox.
And I'm gonna say this looks like a hornet to me, like a yellow jacket, and they're evil. So, like honeybees are all good, and because we, at this time of year, the yellow jackets they're just a menace.
Really?
So,
I haven't had to deal with them.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, but this is good because he looks like a menace. Like the look on his face and the mouth is just it's an angry looking thing. So he's nailed that part of it. But I would do a couple of those changes.
Yeah, it's interesting too. He's got like the color of the wings as the under visor. So it's like that kind of like almost.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. All right.
Almost, but yeah, good job. Hopefully we see them around more often. Toe tied concepts. I'm not too familiar with them, but yeah, good to see them around. And moving forward, what else we got? Wyatt Burp by Josh Rolls.
That's clever, I'll tell you. This is really clever, and this is well done. I've never seen. Is it called a hobby horse? I don't think so. Maybe the hobby horse is the one where it rocks, but I have not seen any clinks have to do with one of these fake horses or whatever it's called. So that's cool. That's really unique. Love the button with the eye in there, the stitches down. That's just great. The kid on there, I'm wondering how well that the bottle is going to embroider, but the kid looks like a son of a bitch. So it's like, this is good. This is good. This is funny too.
Yeah.
And the colors are really cool because they don't pop. Like it looks really westerny and old and something that you can envision in like the Old West or something, just really dusty and stuff. So I really like the whole motif going on.
Yeah, it reminds me. I'm trying to find out the name of it. Yeah, here it is. The Scranton Wilkes-Barre Baby Bombers. When they did that, do you remember?
No, baby.
I can pull it out real quick. Hold on. So it kind of has this feel to it. This one.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing this.
Yeah, so it's got like that, like really
This
crusty
must be like a
young
Yankees
old guy.
or something.
Yeah. I think they're a Yankees affiliate back in the day, but it kind of reminds me like of that, where it's like the
Yeah, because the kid
young
looks
looking
like,
old guy. Yeah,
the kid looks so grizzled
yeah,
and like, worn out. So no, this is good. Very well rendered.
yeah.
Um,
And it's refreshing to see a cool colorway. So he's like got this like
yeah, no,
walnut burnt wood.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't see that many brown hats. I don't think. I'm trying to think of a time when we've seen that, but
No, but yeah, this one's probably gonna make it through if I were to.
it's a Clink though, ain't it? Like, if you was gonna say this is a Clink hat, this is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Great job, Josh. Sierra Gons.
And you know who did this. Like, you didn't even need to put that man's name up there. You know who did this one.
Yeah.
So,
PB and JTown.
And he ain't afraid to do the food stuff. Like I said, like, some people just steer clear of it. This man attacks it full force. So, I mean, I love a good peanut butter and jelly. Like, I'm a strawberry jam guy myself.
Okay. All right.
And chunky peanut butter too. That throws a lot of people off.
I like the chunky peanut butter.
All right. See, this is what I'm saying. We're on the same wavelengths, but this is pretty cool. Like, the fact that the fact that he was able to get, I mean, that's big. It's stretching across the whole front of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he was able to get all the jam in the swing motion without obscuring too much of whatever's important with the actual figure that's important. Listen, beyond that, like, I hate purple. So I'm just going to say that now. As a Celtics fan, I'm required to hate purple.
Yeah, it's like you're bred into
that's just the way it goes. So I won't be wearing this hat because it's purples, but I like what he did with it. I think that the peanut butter needs to be darker though.
Yeah. Like,
it needs to be a little bit deeper.
It's closer to mustard almost.
Yeah, so we don't want mustard and jelly. That's not it. I would change that around.
Yeah.
But listen, this is a Sierra. There's no question about it. So
yeah, this jam he's got like kind of this like quaff of jam.
Yeah,
it brings me back to one of Ink Park's designs, the fart scroll.
I was just gonna say the Clink Vision thing.
Yeah, so that kind of reminds me of that.
Yep.
So I don't know if I could find a way to maybe start it up. I don't know what I would do, but it reminds me of that, and that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Here's the thing that I was thinking: should it have shine on it? Because the jar has that white shine on it. I'm thinking maybe the jam should have something to denote that it's that sticky, like liquidy type quality or something.
Exactly. To get the right viscosity, I guess.
That's what I would say.
One thing I would play around with potentially, he's got a cool like look to it, but maybe make him swing so hard that the lid is kind of coming off.
Okay.
Maybe get a little peanut butter splashing out.
That'd be something.
But yeah, I think it's like one of those like really cool kind of food hats, but not a food hat, if that makes any sense.
Well, listen, we'll find out how many peanut butter and jelly fans are in the Clink universe come voting day. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But great job, Sierra. This is definitely a cool one. So let's see what else we got here. Coast Encounters by the Dude Designs. So the dude has been around, couldn't be much longer than a couple months, but he's kind of nailed like the landscapey type.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
And we've seen, our share of alien hats and UFO ones, but this one is unlike the other ones. I mean, even though we've seen something similar with the ray coming down and everything like that, the way that that negative space in the beam is handled is pretty. I like this. I like the weird colors. I think it definitely lends a lot to the design, the unusual color combination.
Yeah.
I think this is good. I think this could embroider really well, and I think it would be a worthy entry into the Clink stable.
Yeah, in terms of like coloring it, he's really got like a really unique way to kind of do it here, right? So it's like
Yeah.
muted gray, it's got a little bit of red, and then you've got that bright blue to kind of make it pop. He's been around, like I said, he's not been around for too long, but like you can kind of know now when you see his stuff. Like, okay,
I mean, it's almost troubling to look at, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. It's off-putting, but
Yeah.
that's the whole point of it. So or at least that's what I'm getting from it. That kind of is what's going for it. So I like how how that negative space is handled. And what's the word I'm looking for? Like a negative, when you take the negative of a picture and how it's like when
yeah,
you
yeah.
hold it up to the light or something. That's what makes me
It's like
think.
everything's inverted almost,
Yeah.
or
So
whatever. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I'm sure they'll, if it makes it through, they'll touch up and tweak things, but it's well rendered. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, is one small thing I would say about it. Like it feels like everything else is in motion in terms of like the landscape, and it feels like the spaceship itself is just kind of stuck there almost. I don't know what I would do to kind of remedy that situation, but all in all, this is a really cool design, I think. But yeah, all right, let's move
Great.
forward. Let's see here. What else we got? Life hack. So this looks like it's a collaboration. Creaturezoid and R.E. Clifton.
Yeah, that creature is what, man. He's got his beak
pumping
and
him up.
everything.
He's pumping him up.
Yeah. This is cool. This reminds me of something like Noble North almost.
Yeah.
Like what you would see. That this is the type of stuff that they do. Life hack. All right. You don't see too many chainsaws on hats, or like or on clanks, anyways. So
yeah, I'm not in love with the name.
I'm wondering what the life. I'm assuming just like the life of a lumberjack. I'm assuming, like that's what they do.
Yeah, or maybe it's because he's like a beaver and he figured out that he could just chainsaw shit instead of chewing on it.
Okay,
maybe that's the hack part of it. I'm not sure, but I'm not in love with the name. But the subject matter's cool. I mean, beaver, badass beaver with a chainsaw.
Yeah. I think I would. The only thing that I don't particularly care for is the way that the wood is spraying off of the chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be handled a little bit better than the way it is now. It just looks a little too static. There's got to be a way to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah.
And not have it like it should be spraying away from the actual beaver and not up straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be even simpler and small. It doesn't have to be big, but I just think that's got to be tweaked a little bit. And it's kind of interesting because you don't see that many hats or that many designs with the outline that just stops. So we see the outline just stopping at the bottom. It doesn't actually go all the way around, which actually I'm not that upset about. But I think it is very thick. The stroke is very thick, and then it just kind of dies off. So that's I'm having a little bit of an issue with that aspect of it. I think it kind of could be a little bit thinner, but that's to nitpick it. But yeah, I mean it's cool. It's rendered well. Not too many small details, so I think you got that going for it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's the safest thing to be splitting a log towards you while standing on it.
When you're a beaver and you know your way around, obviously they're feeling much more comfortable about it than you or I would.
Would you make his tail darker? They usually got like this leathery kind of tail.
So you would make it the same color as the actual log, like the part of the log that we're seeing,
or almost like a burnt walnut, maybe even like similar to what the hat color is. But I think because like the beaver,
yeah, you're right.
If I'm not mistaken, it's like like a leather tail. But yeah, it's like a darker. It's furless, so it's got like a weird color to it. So maybe I would do that a little bit. I don't know if I love the green in it.
Maybe if it was like a different green or
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to be metallic, but I could be wrong. Like a metallic outline.
yeah.
I don't know what the under would be there. And then the actual like face, he almost looks more like bear to me than beaver. He's obviously a beaver because of the
Yeah,
tail.
I mean he's a beaver that means business. So clearly, maybe that's how to make him look a little bit more grizzled.
Yeah, really ugly fellas though, right? Like the really...
They're not the most handsomest animals in the animal kingdom, no. But listen, they're there to do a job. They're there to, keep things flowing or not flowing when they're damming things. So
yeah,
listen,
they're so ugly.
Mother Nature is not kind to every animal in terms of the looks department. So
yeah, I know they're always getting a rap for their buck teeth, but they also got these two on the bottom too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That make them really ugly looking. But
yeah. I've never seen one in person, and I don't really feel like I need to see one in person. So
I can imagine they smell really bad.
Probably. I mean,
they're rodents that can chew trees. So, how they became one of the national,
all part of God's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
I don't know how they became a national animal of Canada, but yeah.
Oh, is it the official national animal?
I think it's one of them.
Oh, okay. I mean, you guys got that leaf. That's all I know. Like that's all I see. I didn't know there was official. Like we know bald eagle. Yeah, that's on our seal and everything like that. But I didn't know that the beaver played that prominently.
So we got it as the official status as an emblem of Canada.
Okay, all right. I've learned something today.
Yeah, as a symbol of sovereignty of Canada. Received royal assent in 1975.
All right, shoot.
Yeah.
So okay. We're learning here. We're learning.
Yeah. And apparently the Canadian horse is another one.
An
official symbol since 2002. But North American beaver, our symbol since 1975. So the more you know.
It is.
Death rattle. Clinker Adam von Olen. Yeah, there you go. What do you think? Death rattle. Kind of like a play, right? With the rattlesnake, maybe the death rattle.
I know that when people die or when they're on death's door, they say that the breathing has it sounds like a rattling.
Okay.
As far as I know. So I was thinking right when I heard this or saw this, that's probably what they were alluding to. But I'm looking at it because see, he knew you don't go tall. You got to tilt the thing if needs be. I just don't know that the actual stem, it looks like it's threaded.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know how that's going to embroider.
Yeah, there's 3 colors in there.
Yeah. It almost looks like a lollipop, like a charms, like a blow pop, because of the shape of the, of the skull, the head. It's tough. It's tough to do because people are going to, I don't know if they're going to immediately be like, oh, that's a baby's rattle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the only hard part about it. It's obviously well rendered, but yeah, that's the only thing. I think the stem, if there was a way to make it so it's a little bit, I see that down near where the ring is. Do we see a bow? Is that what you're seeing there?
A little bit. It could be just what connects the circle.
Because it's pretty ornate connection. So I got to assume that that's probably what it is. I think it needs more on it for it to read more as a rattle right off the bat to just someone walking down the street. That's what I would probably say. Because I mean, right now it's got a lot of lollipop vibes going. If it didn't have the ring on the bottom, but
so this is I looked it up now. So the death rattle, this is kind of grim, but the common symptom of the dying phase, in which is caused by the accumulation of secretions in your upper airway. So basically, the accumulation of fluid / mucus cannot easily be coughed up or swallowed by the patient.
Yeah, that's
Often result.
that's great. Yeah.
So yeah, very very fun
Yeah.
design here.
I mean, the face is great. Like,
yeah,
it's a really well done. Although, like, the like outlines right around the cheek are very thin. I don't know. They probably need to make that either go away or thicken it. I don't know how they thicken that up, but I love the face. It's very reminds me of Skeletor.
yep, a red skull.
Yeah, Red Skull. The mouth is handled like a lot like the Skeletor toy. Now, mind you, maybe I'm a little bit older than some of these other people, but Masters of the Universe. But yeah, no, I like that aspect of it. So those are my points to make about this particular one.
But. How do you feel about the colorway? Like the beetroot ice blue?
It's not pink. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's not pink.
It's like a fuchsia almost.
It is. I mean, it's a troubling subject matter, so I think it pays to go with something that's a little bit off-putting, and I think this does do that.
Yeah.
I think if it does make it through, I think probably Clink would switch it up a little bit. Like, I don't know what they would do, but
this is definitely a weird conversation starter. So, yeah, what are you wearing?
It is.
Yeah, the death rattle. Let me explain it to you. Yeah, I mean, you learn something every day, but yeah, I like to play on, like, death, and then it's like a baby toy, so it's like almost, circular, I guess. Kind of the life and death portion of it. But yeah, cool job, Adam. Haven't seen you around. Hopefully, we see more of you.
Definitely.
Grim Ribbons by Win Studios.
Listen, I mean, Grim Reapers, we got one every week, it seems like. So this is definitely a different take on it, which you kind of had to do, because with so many of the same kind of thing, like, this is very cool. I like the color. I like the color choices. Is that a maroon? Would you call it maroon, burgundy? I don't know what you'd say.
I still can't tell the difference between maroon and burgundy, but I think according to the colors, that is maroon. To me, it looks burgundy. It looks more purple. But
I think this will get a good amount of votes, because people like their skulls. They like their Grim Reapers. Sickles are very popular. And this is, as I said, a different way of doing it. So I think it's probably going to go through. If, again, I'm not clairvoyant or anything like that, but I'm trying to think, like, obviously in terms of embroidery, raise all of the front facing strips of cloth, and then make the sickle sit back. I think it'll be successful in terms of embroidery. I'm just, obviously seeing how the embroidery would work on, it's essentially a skull printed on cloth. So we'll see how that would do, but well rendered. The art is very good. Again, unique colors. So
yeah. So this kind of reminds me of, like, that classic, like, MC Escher ribbon head style, drawing a head in a ribbon. But I don't know, something about it. Like, it's cool, it's fun. The scythe kind of disappears in the middle part of it. Maybe I would extend the rod.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I was under the impression when I first looked at it that the scythe was being enveloped by the thing, but now that you mention it, it should be like going through
the ribbon,
all of it. Yeah, and I think that would make it a little bit cooler if it did do that, instead of it just being behind. I mean, unless I'm seeing something wrong, but
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to have it inside of it.
Yeah. I'd love to get the explanation of it. I mean, he's blocked me, so I have no idea what this
Oh,
is.
you've been blocked?
I've been blocked. So
What the hell did you do?
I don't know. I don't know. So
Oh,
Win Studio, if you're watching, unblock me because I have no idea. We couldn't do any research on what this is, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I get a little bit more sensitive towards it because I believe, to me, like Tony's kind of the king of Grim Reapers, and it's not to say that anyone can't do Grim
yeah.
Reapers, but
Hey, listen, even I dabbled in it, and I avoid, like, I don't go for like skulls all that much or anything like
mhm,
that. But I even went into the skull game because
you have
listen,
to. You have
if
to.
you want to, if you want it, like the Clink universe has spoken, they've said, look, we love skulls.
Yeah.
We like Reapers. We like skulls. Give us more of those. So, you throw your hat into the ring now and again. So,
Yeah. It's just for me, if I'm gonna get a Reaper or something, like it's gotta be different and it's gotta be good. So I just want to know like kind of the backstory behind like why is it a ribbon or whatever.
yeah,
And
I
I'm
mean,
sure there is a cool story towards it.
yeah, given the name, you want to know more about it. And that's part of the fun about Clink things. Like you want to know more, like you see it, you want to know the story behind it. So
Yeah. So without that, it's kind of a pass for me. I'm not quite certain what it's looking to do, but it's got some cool elements for sure. Like I mentioned, like the MC Escher ribbon head style thing, and
I wouldn't personally. It's not my cup of tea. It's not
yeah.
something I would wear because it's just not my something that I gravitate towards. But I do think it will get through.
Mhm.
That's my take on Grim Ribbons.
Do you feel like the skull should be like warped a little bit more to fit the flowing of the ribbon, or do you like kind of how it's kind of like just used as like a mask, like a layering mask or like a clipping mask or something
I think it's okay for the
what
way
it
it
is?
is
Okay.
because I'm not sure it would work better any other way,
Hmm.
like the way that it's arranged now.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's interesting for sure. All right, moving forward. What else we got? Let's see here.
Oh my goodness.
Totoga.
Wow.
Verdun designs. I haven't seen them around, but this one's really different. So it's like a toad wearing a samurai.
Yeah, like Tokugawa, like the actual, Japanese leader. That's very clever use. The see again with the names, like that's such a big part of it. Yasu Tokugawa. I don't like the colors. That's I don't like the colors. I think it's a very I actually like the rendering. It's pretty it's tongue in cheek, obviously, would have to be with this, but
Mm-hmm.
um I would make I would make the pipe a little bit more like bigger and more like part of the design. Um I don't know if the samurai helmet helps it at all.
Yeah.
There's other things there's other headgear that you could put on them.
Even like a traditional headdress or like the different hair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would probably go in and see what some of the other options would be for this because I don't know. I think you'd be better served by doing that. Like look at some Tokugawa like pictures of what he would be wearing. I know he was a samurai of that class, but I think that maybe something else might be a little bit better for this.
Yeah. I'm
But
seeing a lot of like different hairstyles. Well,
yeah,
it's the same kind of one he has.
yeah.
I don't
Like if
know.
he had a top knot or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
That might be cool to see. But listen, we'll see what the Clink universe has to say about it. I'm not sure what the colors are all about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's hurting it, if anything else. Like,
It almost looks more salamander than toad, almost too.
I mean, I kind of like what they're like. This is almost like a beard, and like the blue. I like the blue the splotches on them.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool element to this. And I actually like that the eyes are like that. They're not like people eyes or anything like that. But yeah, that's where I would go with it.
Yeah. All right. Good job. We're done. Move forward. Oh, that's it. We are finished. That's a pretty strong week.
Yeah, it's some good stuff in there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's it. That's the 3. That's the 10. Thank you so much for participating and doing that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, definitely.
Yeah. Before we sign off, is there any particular like upcoming projects or designs you're excited to kind of share?
I've got one that I'm working on that we'll see how it comes out, because I've been wanting to do it for a long time. As one of those where I had, let me write this down on my notes app, and then we'll see if, when I get around to it or what I want to do. And I finally am like, all right, it's only going to get done if you do it. You can't sit there and think about it and like, oh yeah, why don't I do that when I try that? No, you actually have to put pen to paper and get it done. So I'm doing it. I asked Casey's opinion on some things on it, and he's like, oh no, I like that, but take this out. This is too much. And I'm like, all right. So like I do ask opinions of things, like, because you sit there in front of your screen and you work on something and you just look at it. And you, sometimes I bring it to the girlfriend. I'm like, all right. And I did bring it to her, and she's my biggest fan and worst critic. It's the same thing. She's like, I like it, and I'm like, all right, so it ain't ready to be posted yet. I'm trying to do that and trying to make it work because I want it to work so bad. That's it. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not sure if I'm going to when it's going to be ready to go out, or if I'm going to try to send it to the queue, or if I'm going to post it or what. So we'll see how it goes, but we're going to keep hacking away at it and just have another couple ideas too. So stay tuned, folks.
That's awesome. Where can fans and collectors kind of find you?
You're going to have to go to the Instagram page.
Okay.
So it's the Instagram. You could do /40swords. And yeah, visit there. I don't have a whole lot of things posted. But, I pick and choose what I post. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of trash posts from me. They're going to be something that I feel is worthy of a post. So yeah, follow me there, and if you so choose, and hopefully you'll see something you like.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time again, and hopefully everyone gives you a follow.
I appreciate it.
I've been a long supporter of your work, so I'm glad to finally get to do this.
And I love what you do with this. I'm glad that you're down with the Clink Room. You're doing all these things, getting the artists out. I feel honored, like I said, to be involved with this. And the other artists, I'm sure I speak for them too. Yeah. Thanks very much for
you were definitely my first call. So we didn't get you on the first episode, but we finally picked up our schedules. So you're one of the early ones. So I'm glad you can keep a secret, because I told you really, really early, before most. So
look at it. That's it.
But TJ, thank you so much.
All right.
Until next time, we're signing.
All right. We'll see you.
Peace.
And now it's from within, the shadow, it's been brought to an end. This is stealth villainy in the highest of forms. There's no denying the norms. These triads are quiet as storms. Changing.
Brought to you by VFTV.